Have you ever found yourself staring at your bank account, wondering where all your hard-earned money disappeared to? Do you lie awake at night, tossing and turning, haunted by the specter of unpaid bills and mounting debts? What if I told you there's a way to take control of your finances that not only aligns with sound economic principles, but also draws wisdom from the timeless teachings of the Bible? A method that could transform your financial life and bring you peace of mind? Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our channel. Today, we're embarking on a journey that could revolutionize the way you think about and manage your money. We're going to explore the fascinating and vital topic of creating a family budget. But this isn't just any budgeting guide. We're going to infuse this process with the wisdom found in Scripture, discovering how these ancient insights can guide us in making wise financial decisions in our modern world. Before we dive into this topic, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your participation helps us spread this transformative message to more people. Let's get started. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Budget? That sounds boring and restrictive. Isn't that just a fancy way of saying I can't buy the things I want? I assure you, nothing could be further from the truth. Creating a family budget is one of the most liberating and empowering tools you can use to transform your financial life. It's not about restriction, it's about intention. It's not about deprivation, it's about allocation. It's about gaining clarity, setting priorities, and aligning your money with your values and goals. And when we infuse this process with biblical wisdom, well, that's when the magic really happens. We add a profound spiritual dimension that can bring peace, purpose, and prosperity to our lives in ways you might never have imagined. Throughout this video, we're going to walk through the step-by-step process of creating a family budget. But we're going to go far beyond just numbers and spreadsheets. We'll explore how biblical principles can inform our financial decisions, how to cultivate a mindset of stewardship, and how to use our resources in ways that honor God and serve our families and communities. Whether you're struggling to make ends meet, looking to save for a big goal like buying a house or funding your children's education, or simply want to be a better steward of the resources God has blessed you with, this video is for you. We'll cover practical tips, address common challenges, and provide spiritual encouragement along the way. So, are you ready to embark on this journey towards financial wisdom and spiritual growth? Are you prepared to take control of your money, rather than letting it control you? Let's dive in and discover how to create a family budget that works for you and aligns with God's principles for managing money. Now, before we delve into the nitty-gritty of budgeting, let's take a moment to understand why a family budget is so crucial. You see, in the book of Proverbs, which is often referred to as the Bible's manual for practical living, we find a verse that beautifully encapsulates the importance of careful planning in our financial lives. Proverbs 21:5 tells us, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." Let that sink in for a moment. The plans of the diligent lead to abundance. A budget is exactly that, a plan for our money. It's not a restrictive cage that traps your finances. Rather, it's a roadmap that guides you towards financial abundance. It's a tool that helps you avoid the pitfalls of hasty, unplanned spending and instead directs you towards your financial goals. Creating a family budget offers numerous benefits, and I want to explore these with you in detail. First and foremost, a budget gives you control over your money. How many times have you reached the end of the month, looked at your bank balance, and wondered, where did it all go? A budget eliminates that mystery. It gives you a clear picture of your income and expenses, allowing you to direct your financial resources intentionally rather than wondering where they wandered off to. This knowledge is the power to make informed decisions about your spending and saving. Secondly, a budget helps you prioritize your spending. We live in a consumer-driven society where we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to buy this, upgrade that, subscribe to this service, or try this new product. It's easy in this environment to fritter away money on things that don't truly matter to us. A budget forces us to confront our spending habits and align them with our values and goals. There's a profound verse in Matthew 6:21 that says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." When we create a budget, we're deciding where to put our treasure. And in doing so, we're declaring what we truly value. Do we value financial security for our family? Do we value being able to give generously to our church or to causes we believe in? Do we value experiences over material possessions? A budget helps us ensure that our spending aligns with these values. Moreover, a well-crafted budget can significantly reduce financial stress and conflict within families. Money is often cited as one of the leading causes of stress in relationships and a major factor in divorces. But when you have a clear plan that both partners agree on, it can significantly reduce arguments about spending and saving. It creates a shared financial vision and promotes unity in working towards common goals. Instead of fighting about money, couples can work together as a team to achieve their financial objectives. A budget is also a powerful tool for achieving financial goals. Maybe you're dreaming of buying your first home, or perhaps you want to save for your children's college education. Maybe you're planning for a comfortable retirement or hoping to start your own business. Whatever your goals may be, a budget helps you allocate resources towards these important objectives. It turns vague financial hopes into concrete, achievable plans. Think about it this way. If you were planning a road trip, you wouldn't just jump in the car and start driving, hoping you'll eventually reach your destination. You'd plan your route, figure out where you'll stop for gas, and make sure you have enough money for the journey. A budget does the same thing for your financial journey. It plots out the route to your financial goals and ensures you have the resources to get there. Furthermore, budgeting cultivates financial discipline and stewardship. The Bible has much to say about being good stewards of the resources God has entrusted to us. In the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30, Jesus teaches about the importance of wisely managing what we've been given. In this parable, a master entrusts his servants with different amounts of money. The servants who invested and grew their master's money were rewarded, while the one who simply buried his portion and did nothing with it was rebuked. This parable teaches us that God expects us to be good stewards of our resources, to use them wisely and grow them, not to waste them or let them sit idle. A budget is a practical way to exercise this stewardship, ensuring that we're using our financial resources in a way that honors God and serves our families and communities. Lastly, and perhaps surprisingly to some, a family budget can actually lead to greater financial freedom. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, doesn't a budget restrict our spending? In reality, a well-designed budget gives you permission to spend on what truly matters to you, free from guilt or worry. When you know you're meeting your financial obligations and saving for the future, you can enjoy your discretionary spending without stress. Imagine being able to buy a nice dinner out with your family without the nagging worry that you should be saving that money instead. Imagine being able to give generously to a cause you believe in, knowing that you've already accounted for your other financial responsibilities. That's the kind of freedom a good budget can provide. Now that we understand the importance and benefits of a family budget, let's delve into the process of creating one. Remember, this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. We'll provide a framework, but you'll need to tailor it to your unique situation, values, and goals. The first step in creating a family budget is to gather all your financial information. This includes your income sources, regular expenses, debts, and any financial obligations. Be thorough in this process. Look through your bank statements, credit card bills, pay stubs, tax returns, and any other financial documents. The more accurate and comprehensive your information, the more effective your budget will be. Start by listing all your sources of income. This might include salaries, wages, freelance work, rental income, investment returns, government benefits, or any other regular sources of money. If you're self-employed or have irregular income, this step might be a bit more challenging, but don't worry. We'll address how to budget with variable income later in this video. Next, list all your expenses. It's helpful to categorize these into fixed expenses and variable expenses. Fixed expenses are those that remain relatively constant from month to month, like rent or mortgage payments, car payments, insurance premiums, and loan repayments. Variable expenses are those that can fluctuate, like groceries, utilities, entertainment, and clothing. Don't forget to include irregular expenses that might occur only a few times a year, like car maintenance, holiday gifts, or annual subscriptions. A good way to handle these is to estimate the annual cost and then divide by 12 to get a monthly figure to include in your budget. As you're listing your expenses, this is a good time to reflect on your spending habits. Are there areas where you're spending more than you realized? Are your expenses aligned with your values and priorities? The Bible encourages us to be mindful of our resources. Proverbs 27:23 advises, "Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds." While this verse literally refers to livestock, we can apply this principle to our finances. We need to know the condition of our flocks. In other words, have a clear understanding of our financial situation. And once you have a comprehensive list of your income and expenses, it's time to start categorizing and prioritizing. A useful framework for this is the 50-30-20 rule, but we're going to adapt it slightly and add a biblical perspective to it. In this adapted framework, aim to allocate your income as follows. 50% for needs. This includes essential expenses like housing, food, utilities, transportation, and minimum debt payments. These are the basics required for living and fulfilling your financial obligations. 20% for savings and giving. This category is crucial and aligns with biblical principles of saving for the future and generous giving. We'll dive deeper into this category in a moment. 30% for wants. This covers discretionary spending on things that improve your quality of life but aren't absolutely essential. This might include entertainment, dining out, hobbies, or vacations. Let's explore each of these categories in more detail, starting with the needs category. This is where you'll allocate money for your essential living expenses. Housing usually takes up the largest chunk of this category. Financial experts often recommend spending no more than 30% of your income on housing, including rent or mortgage payments, property taxes, and insurance. However, in some high-cost areas, this might not be feasible. Do your best to keep housing costs as reasonable as possible while still meeting your family's needs. Food is another major expense in this category. Grocery shopping can often be an area where significant savings can be found without sacrificing nutrition. Consider meal planning, buying in bulk, using coupons, and choosing seasonal produce to keep costs down. Remember, being a good steward of our resources doesn't mean we can't enjoy good food, but it does mean being mindful and avoiding waste. Jesus himself set an example of this when, after feeding the 5,000, he instructed his disciples to gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. John 6:12. Utilities are another essential expense. Look for ways to reduce your energy and water consumption. Not only will this save you money, but it's also good stewardship of our planet's resources. Simple changes like using energy-efficient light bulbs, fixing leaky faucets, and adjusting your thermostat can make a big difference over time. Transportation costs, whether it's car payments, fuel, maintenance, or public transit fares, should also be included in this category. If you're spending a lot on transportation, consider if there are ways to reduce these costs. Could you carpool, use public transportation more often, or switch to a more fuel-efficient vehicle? Debt payments are another crucial part of the needs category. While we should aim to be debt-free, many of us have some form of debt, whether it's a mortgage, student loans, or credit card balances. Always make at least the minimum payments on all debts to avoid late fees and damage to your credit score. If possible, pay more than the minimum on high-interest debts to reduce them faster. The Bible has strong words about debt. Proverbs 22:7 warns us that the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. While some forms of debt, like mortgages, may be necessary, we should be cautious about taking on debt and diligent about paying it off. If you're struggling with debt, consider seeking help from a financial counselor or a debt management program. Now, let's move on to the savings and giving category. This category is vital for long-term financial health and spiritual well-being. Let's start with savings. Saving money is a biblical principle. Proverbs 13:11 tells us, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." This verse encourages us to save consistently over time. Your savings should include several components. Emergency fund. This should be your first savings priority. Aim to save 6 months of living expenses in an easily accessible account. This fund will protect you from unexpected expenses or loss of income. As Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." An emergency fund is your financial storehouse for tough times. Retirement savings. It's never too early to start saving for retirement. If your employer offers a 401k match, try to contribute enough to get the full match. It's essentially free money. Beyond that, consider opening an IRA or increasing your 401k contributions. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. Specific financial goals. This might include saving for a down payment on a house, your children's education, or a major purchase. Having dedicated savings for these goals makes them much more achievable. Remember, saving isn't about hoarding wealth. It's about being prepared for the future and being able to provide for your family and others in need. As 1 Timothy 5:8 reminds us, "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." Now, let's talk about giving. Generosity is a core biblical principle. In 2 Corinthians 9:7, we're told, "Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." Giving should be a joyful act, not a burden. Many Christians practice tithing, giving 10% of their income to their church or other religious organizations. However, giving can take many forms. It might include donations to charities, helping friends or family in need, or supporting causes you believe in. The key is to make giving a priority in your budget, not just something you do if there's money left over. Giving not only benefits others, but also brings blessings to the giver. As Jesus said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Acts 20:35. Numerous studies have shown that generosity is linked to greater happiness and life satisfaction. By making giving a part of your budget, you're not just helping others, you're investing in your own well-being and spiritual growth. Lastly, let's discuss the wants category. This is where you allocate money for things that aren't essential, but improve your quality of life. It's important to include this category in your budget. If your budget is too restrictive, it will be hard to stick to in the long run. However, this is also an area where many people overspend. It's easy to justify expenses as needs when they're really wants. Be honest with yourself about what truly falls into this category. Do you need the latest smartphone, or does your current one still work fine? Is that gym membership essential, or could you exercise for free at home or in a park? The Bible doesn't forbid enjoying material things, but it does warn against placing too much importance on them. In 1 Timothy 6:17-19, Paul instructs, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life." This passage provides a balanced perspective on material possessions. We're allowed to enjoy the things God provides, but we shouldn't put our hope in them or become arrogant because of them. Instead, we should be generous and focus on doing good. When allocating money to wants, consider what truly brings value and joy to your life. Maybe it's occasional meals out with family or friends, pursuing a hobby, or saving for a vacation. The key is to be intentional about your spending in this category, ensuring it aligns with your values and priorities. Now that we've gone through the process of creating a budget, let's talk about how to implement and maintain it. Creating a budget is just the first step. The real challenge is sticking to it over time. First, choose a budgeting method that works for you. Some people prefer the envelope system, where you put cash for each category in separate envelopes. This can be particularly effective for controlling spending in categories where you tend to overspend. Others might use budgeting apps or spreadsheets. There are numerous apps available, such as YNAB, You Need a Budget, Mint, or Every Dollar, which can link to your bank accounts and automatically categorize your transactions. The best method is the one you'll actually use consistently. Next, track your spending religiously, at least for the first few months. This will help you see where your money is actually going and identify areas where you might be overspending. Many banks and credit card companies offer categorized spending reports, which can be helpful for this. You might be surprised to find how much you're spending in certain categories. For example, those daily coffee shop visits or impulse purchases can add up quickly. Review your budget regularly, ideally monthly, but at least quarterly. Life changes, and your budget should change with it. Did you get a raise? Adjust your budget to increase your savings or giving. Did your rent go up? You might need to cut back in other areas to accommodate this. Regular reviews also help you stay accountable and motivated. Be prepared for setbacks. There will likely be months where you overspend in some categories. Don't get discouraged. Use it as a learning experience. Analyze what went wrong and adjust your budget or your habits accordingly. Remember, budgeting is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice to master. Communicate regularly with your spouse and family about the budget. If you're married, it's crucial that both partners are on the same page financially. Have regular money talks where you discuss your progress, challenges, and goals. Celebrate successes together when you meet your budgeting goals. If there are challenges, face them as a team. Remember, Ecclesiastes 4, 9, 10. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. If you have children, consider involving them in age-appropriate ways. This can be an excellent opportunity to teach them about financial responsibility. You might give them a small allowance and help them budget it, or involve them in family financial discussions about saving for a vacation or a major purchase. Consider using financial software or apps to help you stay on track. Many of these can link to your bank accounts and credit cards, automatically categorizing your spending and alerting you when you're nearing your budget limits in various categories. Some apps even allow you to set financial goals and track your progress towards them. Don't forget to build some flexibility into your budget. Life is unpredictable, and having a little wiggle room can help you stick to your budget in the long run. You might want to include a small, miscellaneous category for unexpected expenses. As you implement your budget, you may face some common challenges. Let's address a few of these and discuss how to overcome them. Irregular income. If your income varies from month to month, budgeting can be tricky. In this case, try budgeting based on your lowest expected monthly income. In months when you earn more, allocate the extra to savings or debt repayment. This approach ensures you can always meet your basic needs and treats additional income as a bonus. Unexpected expenses. These are inevitable, which is why having an emergency fund is so crucial. When unexpected costs arise, try to cover them from your emergency fund rather than derailing your entire budget. Then, focus on replenishing your emergency fund as quickly as possible. Overspending in certain categories. If you consistently overspend in a particular area, it's time to reassess. Is your budget realistic in this category? If so, what strategies can you employ to reduce spending? For instance, if you're overspending on groceries, you might try meal planning or shopping with a list to avoid impulse purchases. Lack of motivation. Budgeting can feel restrictive, leading to a lack of motivation over time. Combat this by regularly reminding yourself of your financial goals and the progress you're making. Celebrate small victories along the way. Remember Galatians 6. 9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Disagreements with spouse. Money can be a source of conflict in relationships. If you and your spouse disagree about budgeting priorities, take time to discuss your individual financial values and goals. Seek to understand each other's perspectives and find compromises. Proverbs 31:10. 11 speaks of a wife of noble character. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. Strive for this level of trust and cooperation in your financial partnership. Lifestyle. Inflation. As your income increases, it's tempting to increase your spending proportionally. This is known as lifestyle inflation, and it can prevent you from reaching your long-term financial goals. Instead, when you receive a raise or bonus, consider allocating a significant portion to savings or giving before adjusting your lifestyle. Debt payoff versus saving. It can be challenging to balance paying off debt with saving for the future. While it's important to do both, you might want to prioritize paying off high-interest debt first, as the interest you're paying likely outweighs what you'd earn in savings. However, don't neglect building an emergency fund, even while paying off debt. Peer pressure. It's easy to feel pressured to keep up with friends or colleagues who have different financial situations or priorities. Remember Proverbs 13:7. One person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Focus on your own financial health rather than appearances. Now, let's delve deeper into how biblical principles can guide our budgeting and financial decisions. The Bible has much to say about money and possessions, offering wisdom that's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. One fundamental principle is that everything we have ultimately belongs to God. Psalm 24:1 declares, "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world, and all who live in it." This perspective shifts our role from owners to stewards. We're managing resources that God has entrusted to us, and we're accountable for how we use them. This principle of stewardship should inform all our financial decisions. When we view our money as a tool to honor God and serve others, rather than as an end in itself, it changes our approach to budgeting. We start asking questions like, how can I use this money to glorify God? Am I being a good steward of these resources? How can I use my finances to bless others? Another key biblical principle is contentment. In Philippians 4:11-13, Paul writes, "I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength." Contentment is a powerful antidote to the consumerism that often derails our budgets. When we're content, we're less likely to engage in impulse spending or to try to keep up with the Joneses. We can appreciate what we have without constantly craving more. This doesn't mean we can't strive to improve our financial situation or enjoy nice things. Rather, it's about finding joy and satisfaction in what we have, whether that's a little or a lot. Practicing contentment can help us stick to our budgets and find peace in our financial journey. The Bible also teaches us about the dangers of debt. Proverbs 22:7, which we mentioned earlier, likens the borrower to a slave. While some forms of debt, like mortgages or student loans, can be tools for building long-term wealth, we should be cautious about taking on debt, especially for consumptive purposes. In your budget, prioritize paying off existing debts and avoid taking on new ones unless absolutely necessary. If you're struggling with debt, consider seeking help from a financial counselor or a debt management program. Many churches and Christian organizations offer financial counseling services that can help you develop a plan to become debt-free. Another biblical principle that can guide our budgeting is generosity. Throughout Scripture, we see that God values and blesses generosity. In Proverbs 11:24-25 we read, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." By making giving a priority in our budgets, we align our finances with God's heart for generosity. This doesn't mean giving recklessly or beyond our means, but rather being intentional about setting aside money to bless others and support causes we believe in. The principle of diligence is also crucial in budgeting. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." Creating and sticking to a budget requires diligence. It's not a one-time task, but an ongoing process of planning, tracking, and adjusting. This diligence extends to our work as well. Colossians 3:23 instructs us, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." By applying this principle to our careers, we can increase our earning potential and have more resources to manage wisely. Lastly, the Bible teaches us to plan for the future while trusting in God's provision. In the parable of the wise and foolish builders, Matthew 7:24-27, Jesus praises the man who plans ahead and builds his house on a solid foundation. At the same time, we're reminded in Matthew 6:34 not to worry about tomorrow, for God will provide. This balance of planning and trust is key in budgeting. We plan and save for the future, but we also recognize that ultimately, our security comes from God, not our bank accounts. As we near the end of our discussion on creating a family budget, let's recap the key points and provide some final thoughts and encouragement. We've learned that a family budget is more than just a financial tool. It's a roadmap for aligning our resources with our values and goals. We've walked through the process of creating a budget, from gathering financial information to categorizing expenses and setting priorities. We've explored how to implement and maintain a budget, addressing common challenges along the way. Throughout this journey, we've seen how biblical principles can inform and guide our approach to budgeting. We've considered the concepts of stewardship, contentment, avoiding debt, generosity, diligence, and balancing planning with trust in God's provision. Remember, creating and sticking to a budget is a process. It takes time to develop new habits and adjust your lifestyle. Be patient with yourself and your family as you implement these changes. If you slip up, don't get discouraged. Every day is a new opportunity to make wise financial choices. As you move forward with your family budget, here are some final tips to keep in mind. Stay flexible. Life changes, and your budget should change with it. Regular reviews and adjustments are key to long-term success. Keep communication open. Continue to have honest conversations with your spouse and family about your finances. Celebrate successes together and work as a team to overcome challenges. Use tools to your advantage. Whether it's budgeting apps, spreadsheets, or the envelope system, find tools that work for you and make budgeting easier. Don't forget your long-term goals. While managing day-to-day expenses is important, keep your eye on long-term objectives like retirement savings, paying off your mortgage, or funding your children's education. Seek wisdom and advice. Proverbs 15:22 tells us, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed." Don't hesitate to seek advice from financial professionals, mentors, or wise friends as you navigate your financial journey. Keep learning. Personal finance is a vast topic, and there's always more to learn. Continue to educate yourself through books, seminars, or reputable online resources. Remember the bigger picture. Your budget is a tool to help you live out your values and achieve your goals. Keep in mind the why behind your budget. Whether it's to provide for your family, give more generously, or achieve financial freedom to pursue your calling. In conclusion, creating and following a family budget is a powerful way to take control of your finances and align your resources with your values and goals. It's not always easy, but the peace of mind and financial stability it brings are well worth the effort. As you embark on or continue your budgeting journey, remember the words of Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." God has good plans for you and your family. By managing your finances wisely, you're partnering with Him to bring those plans to fruition. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of family budgeting. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. Remember, every step you take towards better financial management is a step towards greater freedom, peace, and the ability to bless others. May God bless you and guide you on your financial journey. Before we close, I'd like to encourage you to take action on what you've learned today. Here are 3 simple steps you can take right now. Set aside time this week to gather your financial information and start drafting your family budget. Have a conversation with your spouse or family about your financial goals and values. Choose one area of your spending to focus on improving this month. Remember, small steps taken consistently can lead to big changes over time. You have the power to transform your financial future, one decision at a time. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Your support helps us continue to create content that can make a difference in people's lives. In our next video, we'll be diving into strategies for saving money and building wealth. We'll explore biblical principles of wealth creation and practical tips for growing your savings. You won't want to miss it, so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. Thank you again for watching. May God bless you and guide you as you steward your resources wisely. Until next time, remember, with faith, wisdom, and diligence, you can achieve your financial goals and use your resources to make a positive impact in the world. God bless.